Hey guys, I'm Amber and my co-host here is Katie. Welcome to the Brown Girls Guide podcast where we discuss everything we wish we knew growing up.
Hi guys, we're officially past the halfway mark of season 2. I actually still find that crazy that we managed to complete almost 2 full seasons so far. Thank you all for listening along every week. We know that some of our episodes are longer than what you've come to expect from us, but that's just the nature of interviews and that's just something that we've adopted this season.
Yes, exactly. And we understand that some of you did not sign up for the long stuff, but we hope you have stayed. So this week it's a bit shorter again, as it's just the two of us, discussing some things on our mind over a glass of wine or a cup of tea, coffee, or even Milo. Kelly, are you in a Milo mood again today?
Not Milo today. Today I'm drinking tea, but it's like a specialty tea. We ordered it online at Superbalist. It's like some German brand. I can't actually remember the name. And I'm drinking it with a slice of lemon because I'm feeling a bit under the weather today. So it's a berry tea with a slice of lemon. What are you drinking?
Under the weather. We both, by the way, are feeling a little under the weather. I should be drinking tea. I'm having a brutal fruit.
That's yum though.
I actually am looking at a bottle of that Pinotage and I thought, Amber, for the love of God, if you this one more time. So I'm having brutal fruit that my mother left here on Sunday, the ruby apple one, which is so nice.
That is a delicious one.
My fave. So that is what I am having today.
Okay, well, now that we've warmed up and settled in, let's get comfortable discussing uncomfortable topics. For this week's episode, Amber and I have chosen 2 topics each. Actually, now I lie. We've chosen 1 topic each that we'd like to briefly discuss, or maybe a little bit in depth, maybe rant about. I don't know. These topics are things that are never really discussed growing up, and even when we discuss it now, it's kind of awkward. So, Amber, I'm going to let you kick us off. What is the topic on your list?
So first of all, it is a little awkward, but I think it gets easier the more we talk about these things. So the first topic on my list is respectability politics, which is something, anyway, before I just immediately start ranting, it kind of touches on things we've already discussed at length on other episodes, but I don't think we've really covered it enough. It's something I find myself doing every single day, and I get annoyed as I do it. And for those of you who don't know what it means, respectability politics is kind of what happens when, minority or people of color groups are told that in order to receive respect or better treatment from people in positions of power, they need to behave better or behave a certain way. So essentially, as people of color, and especially women, we tend to make ourselves smaller to make others in power feel more comfortable. So Kelly, is this something that you do as well?
I hate to admit it, but it definitely is. This is actually something that I had to Google because I wasn't sure what it meant before this episode. So I looked it up and I just sort of wanted to have a greater understanding of what it meant. It's actually quite triggering as you read up about it, I'm not going to lie. And from my understanding after all this reading and from what you've said, it's when a minority group is fighting for equal rights, as an example, let's say. In order to get it, similarities have to be drawn up between them and the so-called majority group. It's like fighting for equal rights for people and then saying that these are respectable people. Look at these people. They're not even different from us.
Yeah.
Their cause is something that we can identify with. So I got very annoyed by it by doing research because it almost immediately tells me that only if a certain group conforms to be like the majority group or the leading demographic or whatever it may be, only then will they be accepted or acknowledged. Am I understanding this correctly?
So yes, that is 100% it. It's we have to perform or act in a certain way to get respect from people in power. It ties into our discussions around our colored accents as well.
Yeah.
So if we speak in a white accent, and assimilate to white people, we come across, more respectable and we won't be those colors. And I think it also has to do with the way we speak and also the language we use. Profanity is one of those things that people love to use for respectability. You swear all the time, you have a dirty, things like that. It's also part of respect. Yeah, and I swear like a sailor. It's actually so bad. And I think what gets to me the most is how much of my life I spent doing this without even realizing it. I was making myself small and allowing people to have power over me when I was just as deserving to be in the same spaces as them. And it's so annoying to think back on, how many more of my opinions I should have shared, at school, at varsity, at work and even in social settings, if I didn't allow this like stupid idea of behaving a certain way to hinder me.
I totally get you. And I often actually look back on situations and previous jobs even and like social settings, etc. And I wonder how different it would have been if I had just been less of what I thought like people expected me to be and just like be more myself. And I know I've often made myself like quieter or smaller so that I can fit into a crowd or a role. And it's just such a tricky thing to navigate. And I also know that, like so many minority groups have to do this. The LGBTQ plus community, as an example, I'm sure have to fight this fight on a daily basis. Like I've seen like friends and family like be less of themselves in order to not upset the dominant group within the group. And it's just like, is there any way for us just to get this to stop?
I think it would be great if we could get it to just stop. But of course, the people in power won't like that. It sounds so conspiracy theory-ish, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And I think it would be easy. It won't be easy for us all to just, stop, because for a lot of people, dropping the respectability politics, has a very real consequence in their lives. It could cost people their jobs or relationships. And as much as it sucks that we have to behave in certain ways to get respect from people, I don't blame people who do it, because it's just easier to conform and to constantly be in this fight. Like you constantly have to go against the grain. And my mission for myself is to just, keep being who I am and, slowly find small ways to stand up for myself in situations that call for me to be, quote unquote, respectable. What do you think?
I agree. We just need to call it out when we can, and even like sometimes just call ourselves out on it too. Like people are fighting hard to create a space for themselves in a society that wants them to conform. We can also like just be allies to them and their causes. The more voices, the louder the conversation gets. So, is there anything else you'd like to touch on about respectability politics, and any advice or resources that you're keen on sharing, maybe?
Well, no, I think I pretty much covered what I wanted to say. I just think, what we can do as people, like as individuals going forward, is just always consider, why you're acting the way that you are. It's okay to question, why do I make myself someone in this situation? What if I just, spoke my mind? What if I just said what I wanted to say? People who are in power that don't want you to feel confident will always find any little small way to discredit what you're saying. So you could be making the best point, but because you said the word fuck in a sentence, they'd be like, oh, but do you see how this person conducts themselves? How could we say they are credible? So always just keep that in mind, I think. And yeah, that's basically it. But I don't really think I have any one particular resource. What I do think it's important to take note of is who you're following on social media. Yeah. And I follow so many great accounts, run by feminists who offer knowledge for free. And I think I learned so much about being a decent human being just from Twitter alone. There's so much I learn every single day. And, it's up to us, to once you learn things, you need to change your mind about things. You need to change your behavior. So following the right people I can't recommend it enough. And what about you? Do you have advice, or do you want to jump into your topic?
Well, I love your social media advice. And I honestly think it's so important to follow accounts that add value to your life. I feel like we've touched on this in a conversation before. But like if you're following accounts that make you feel anxious about who you are, who you want to be, or like your life choices, it's a great idea to just hit that unfollow button, So like follow people follow people who teach you something new, like people who make you feel better about being yourself, and accounts that just encourage individuality over conforming to the norm. So speaking of conforming to the norm, that's a nice little segue into my topic, which I'd like to discuss. And it is choosing not to have children. So let's just jump into this one. So like from a young age, we are, and this is women in particular, we are led to believe that the path is school and study if you can, get a job and start a family. No one ever really told us, or at least me, that, hey, you know what? It's okay not to want to have kids or to be unsure about it. And I have 3 stepsons who are wonderful, but people just keep asking me, like, when I'm having a baby, and I just don't want one. Like, we don't want one. Like, I didn't know I could openly actually say that, and in fact, I'm still not sure that I can, but I'm saying it now. We don't want a baby. Amber, were you ever told that choosing to not have kids is okay?
Okay, first of all, like, yay for you being able to say proudly you don't want kids. Like it's been such a taboo subject for most of my life, mainly because we are taught from a young age that having a child is a blessing. And while that is true, like children are a blessing, like not everyone wants that particular blessing.
Yeah.
And this doesn't take away anything from, people who do. You can still want your babies. That's totally fine. But to answer your question, I was never told that choosing not to have kids or to not have kids is okay. I don't know what will actually happen should I choose not to have kids, or how my family will react if I say I don't want kids. As far as I'm concerned, I do not want a baby like right now. That may change, but for now, the answer is just no. I think this may also be a good time to just talk about people who don't want to discuss having kids at all. I mean, why are people going around asking anybody, especially women, like, why don't you want kids, or when are you having kids? What's your plan?
Yeah, I mean, like people love being up in other people's business, especially when it's asking about kids and marriage. But some people just don't want that conventional road. It's just not for everyone. I love having stepsons. They really do add a level of fun to the house that wouldn't otherwise be there. But I just cannot imagine myself with a baby. I just don't want to give up my personal time, my space, disposable income. And I think that that's okay.
I love that.
Yeah. And like more and more women are choosing to be like child free today than ever before. And having a child is just a huge responsibility. And it is for life. It's not just like for a month or two. There is no off switch. It is for life. And for many women who birth their own children, it means taking time off from work before you give birth and then also afterwards, whether you birth your own child or not, like taking time off afterwards, like to bond with the baby, to be at home, whatever it may be. And it means that they put their careers on pause and they have to give up on things that they previously enjoyed, like booze or certain exercise or competitive sports, if you're carrying your own child. Obviously, this doesn't take adoption and surrogacy into consideration. But there's so much that you have to give up if you want to just birth your own child. And some people just simply don't want that. They want a career instead. And they want a clean house. Because let me tell you, you don't get that when you have a baby. You don't get that for a good few years when you have a baby. And some people just want a clean house. And I don't
look at me. My mother never had a clean house until I moved out when I was 25.
I don't think I've ever had a burning desire to birth my own kids, to be honest. I've had friends who knew without a doubt that they wanted to be a mother, and that's fantastic.
Yeah.
But I've never felt that way, and it's just good to know that others are feeling the same way too. And you are 100% correct, though, that a lot of pressure actually comes from family, especially parents who want grandkids. And thankfully, I married a man with 3 kids, and my sister's got 3 of her own, and my step siblings are like procreating, or like the one is at least. So my parents are sorted, and I'm very thankful for that because there's no pressure on us. And I think they reached the point where like they know not to ask anymore. But there's definitely a lot of outside pressure, like from family in general.
Yeah, there definitely is so much pressure. And just to go back to what you said about the huge responsibility, I don't think it can be emphasized enough what a huge freaking responsibility it is. Like, this might sound superficial, but even just me thinking about not having wine for 9 months, like, I can't even deal.
And I always think, amaze me. But it's true. It's true.
But I mean, it's a little, like, I enjoy going wine tasting. I enjoy drinking with my friends, and I enjoy, I change up my routine every day. Like if I feel tomorrow morning, I want to wake up at 8 a.m. and next day I want to wake up at 5 and just, do it. That flexibility is completely gone.
Yeah.
And I know this does not compare in any way. Please don't come for me. But having a dog already made me realize it's such a big responsibility. Imagine a whole human. There is just so much I still want to do with my life that I just don't have, the time or the space to have a child.
Yeah.
But once again, that doesn't take away from anyone else who wants a baby. I've got friends who have kids and they are extremely happy. It's what they wanted, but I just don't see where it would fit in, right now.
Yeah. And like, if I picture like our life in, let's say, like 5 to 10 years from now, I don't picture us with a baby, to be honest with you. I don't picture a 6th edition or an 8th, if you count our dogs. I don't picture an 8th addition to our family.
Yeah.
I just picture us. I picture the 5 of us traveling. I picture myself and my husband traveling. I don't picture an addition. And like that is also how I know for sure that I don't want the baby. But it's just the responsibility of it all. And also, I've seen mothers have to hold their shit together because they are a mother and it's expected of them. But mentally and emotionally inside, they are falling apart. And I'm just not ready to actually take that on. And I don't actually want to take that on. My hat goes off to mothers, especially moms of young kids. And yes, to fathers too. But let's be honest, most of it actually falls on moms. So my hat goes off to the mothers who are dealing with this. It is relentless. It is exhausting. And I am going to end it there because I could go on for days. And days and days.
And I'm going to end off by just saying how much I agree with you, because women do have to do most of the work. It's just the reality for our, the way things happen in our society right now. It's just the way things are. And if I knew for a fact that my partner was going to go 50-50 with me on all the kids' responsibilities, maybe I would have changed my mind about having a baby. But I don't have that guarantee right now. And I don't think anyone ever could. But it's just too much of a commitment, And like you said, you have to hold it together all the time. I can't even hold it together now.
I know they are great dads. Without speaking out of our house or anything, I know that with Calvin, he took on a lot of responsibility for many reasons with his boys. And I know that if we had to have a kid now, he would definitely meet me halfway. But there is a mental and emotional load that mothers are carrying. Also because their hormones are now out of whack if they have been carrying a baby for 9 months. A lot of moms actually suffer from postnatal depression. They're just going through things that they haven't actually had to go through before. And there's just a mental load that they are carrying that by virtue of being the mother, choosing not to have kids for all those reasons, because you don't want the mental workload, you don't want the emotional thing, you don't want to have a dirty house, you want a career.
You choose peace.
You choose peace and money and a disposable income. And also, maybe you aren't able to have kids or whatever your reasons are for not having kids. We just wanted to say that is good for you. And that
exactly. And you don't even have to give a reason for not wanting kids. There doesn't have to be one. You don't owe anybody that reason. And you don't also have to explain why you do want kids. Whatever you decide to do with your life is your business.
Yeah, exactly. And we will end it here because we could rant all night.
All night.
Yeah.
Yeah, so on that note, guys, as always, if you would like to get in touch with us, you can find us on Instagram and Facebook at Brown Girls Guide Pod and on Twitter at BGG Pod. So until next week, bye.
Bye.